How's everyone? Good, 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 good.
Well, I guess first off, how are you feeling on this momentous day?
Leadership. Talk a little bit about what that looks like. What is bold, courageous leadership, and what will change under Mayor Janey? What will people see?
So first and foremost, I want to lead with an equity lens. It's what I've done in my entire career, certainly as an advocate in the nonprofit space, as a city councilor, as council president, and as mayor. Leading through with intentionality on racial equity, using my own lived experience to approach the challenges facing us in a different way, to make sure that we're bringing new people, new voices to the table, particularly those who are directly impacted by the challenges that we face. It is important that they have a seat at the table and can help craft the solutions that we need to address the tough challenges in Boston.
What are the differences people feel under Mayor Janey?
Well, there are certain similarities between me and my predecessor. Secretary Walsh is a kid from Dorchester who certainly loves this city. He's overcome certain challenges. The same is true for me as a little girl growing up in Roxbury and the South End and overcoming certain challenges. But we have very different lived experience. Obviously, I am the first woman to serve as mayor in the city of Boston. I'm the first black mayor for the city of Boston. And just using that unique lived experience as a guidepost will help inform some of the challenges that we're trying to tackle when it comes to racial equity.
Can you give an update on the Dennis White investigation?
Tackle all the issues that you mentioned in your speech with, but also that this pandemic is just a big wall in front of you.
Yeah, so the pandemic, first and foremost, we have to continue to watch the data, watch the metrics to see how we're doing when it comes to testing, when it comes to vaccinations, trying to keep the positivity rates low, particularly now as parts of the Commonwealth are opening up. And we know that there are variants out there, so it is really important that we continue to watch the data and that we get the vaccine out into the arms as many residents as we can. And that means we have to meet people where they are. I'm really thrilled about the vaccination, the mobile vaccination clinics. Had an opportunity to spend some time at a couple of them and over the last couple of weeks. Where, partnering with BHA and EMS to go right to where residents are living. And so that has been something that I want to lift up and certainly thank folks over at BHA, Kate, thank Chief Hooley at EMS for all of their incredible work. But that is key. We have to get the vaccine out so that we can continue to open up businesses, get workers back to work, particularly those who were displaced and let go of when the pandemic began, getting those folks back to work. And the focus has to be an equitable recovery. We cannot go back to this wealth gap that looms over us in the city of Boston. We have to ensure that there is equity and fairness.
Mayor Janey, regarding the Dennis White investigation, when can we expect to see a conclusion there?
Well, right now the situation is still under investigation, and I will certainly look to that investigation to see what is next. In the interim, I am meeting with different stakeholders in the community. Certainly, there are members of law enforcement who have a lot to say on that issue, and I'm making room and inviting people in to share their thoughts on that. But I will wait until the investigation before making any kind of decision. So that concludes.
Governor, about vaccine inequities, and if so, what is your call to him, or how will you work with him to reduce vaccine inequities across the city of Boston?
Yes, I've met with the governor during a transition. I spoke with the governor just yesterday. There have been some challenges, obviously. Certainly, supply has been a challenge, making sure that we're getting enough supply to get everyone vaccinated here in Boston. We in Boston have lifted up our own mobile vaccination clinics because we understand the importance of equity and making sure that we are getting the vaccine into those who are hardest hit. We know that Black residents here in Boston, Latinx community here in Boston have been disproportionately impacted by the pandemic, by COVID-19, not just in terms of the health impact, but also in terms of the wealth impact. And so I will continue to work with Governor Baker, folks in the state legislature, folks here on the Boston City Council, and community leaders, and obviously our public health officials, to make sure that we are doing all that we can to get the vaccine distributed equitably to those who need it.
Mayor Janey, you had 4 generations of your family here today. You're looking down at your granddaughter Rosie, and your daughter and your mom. I just wonder what was going through your head as you looked at all those faces.
Yeah, my heart is just so full with gratitude to be able to experience this moment with 4 generations. Sadly, my dad isn't here to see this day. He passed away last February. But just incredibly grateful for the opportunity. The Bible that we used belonged to my grandfather, a Baptist preacher, my mom's dad. So to have my mom hand that Bible to my granddaughter for me to be sworn to take the oath of office was just an incredible feeling. And, you know, it's important, those 4 generations, because one, it's paying homage to the family that I come from and to those who came before me, but also looking to the future with my grandchildren there to witness this historic occasion and to participate in the ceremony. So my heart is just bursting with gratitude to my entire family. Now, obviously, we couldn't have everyone here because of COVID guidelines, but I'm incredibly just grateful and proud to be able to share this day with my immediate family.
And do you feel like you busted through a glass ceiling? You just sort of
You know, our Congresswoman who blessed us with her presence today called it a concrete ceiling here in Boston. 199 years, and we are just now reaching this moment with the first black mayor and the first woman mayor, when other cities all across our nation have already done this, and some have done it a number of times. And so I would agree with our Congresswoman that it was a concrete ceiling that we have broken through today.
Are there specific actions you're thinking of taking in the next few days or weeks?
Yes, we have a number of items laid out. It is very important that we are lifting up a response to housing in terms of the eviction moratorium being lifted. Very proud of the work that Chief Dillon is doing on that front. We are looking, obviously, to ensure that our children can come back into school safely. So working with the superintendent and the school committee and our teachers and our families around that timeline. I had the opportunity to visit a school yesterday. It was my alma mater, the school that I was bused to as a child in the 1970s as part of the desegregation order here. And, you know, that was a very painful time in our city's history, certainly for me as an 11-year-old girl, to experience all of that hostility and very traumatic, not just for me, but for all children who experienced that here in Boston. And yesterday, to be able to visit that school again and to see children who are not bound by that kind of pain and trauma, but instead we're learning about that very era in our city's history. And so it was pretty powerful then to be able to step into that classroom as the first woman mayor and the first black mayor, as living history, as someone who has gone through that experience and share a little bit of that experience with the students. It was pretty powerful.
Are you worried at all about the limitations that are on you as an acting mayor? Like, are you worried that
I am not at all. We are in a pandemic, and I will use every opportunity. I will use my authority as mayor and the power that comes with that office to ensure that we are doing everything we can for the residents of Boston.
Do you have any comments on the council?
I will make a decision in the coming weeks. Right now, I'm focused on being mayor, but I will make a decision and an announcement in the coming weeks.
Do you have any comments on the council formalizing the separation between your office and themselves now that you've decided?
I think this is a very unique time in our city, and so important that I stay focused on being the mayor and the council does its work as a legislative body. And I look forward to continuing to work with colleagues on the Boston City Council to ensure that we are doing everything not just to address the pandemic, but to come on the other side of this stronger, more equitable, and a more vibrant city. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.